Resolved, defend DEI.
Race, religion, sex, sexual orientation, sexual identity shouldn't matter. Shouldn't matter to access to opportunity, but they do matter. We could discuss the best strategy for making a foot race more fair when some of the competitors have new sneakers and professional coaches, while other competitors show up at the starting line with no shoes. But to ban even discussing what might make things fair, and to ban donating sneakers to those who show up at the race in bare feet doesn't, in my opinion, lead to good policy.
In K through 12 institutions, numerous studies are coming out revealing that where DEI programs emerge, math and reading scores go down. Why? Because there's only one way to make everyone equitable: lower standards for all.
I talked to people who actually teach DEI, who I know, and looked at talks given by those who teach DEI, and overwhelmingly their definition of DEI is about expanding the talent pool, creating a work environment for all qualified individuals so they have equal access to opportunities. Nothing they talked about was about lowering standards or giving preferential treatment.
I believe the DEI's implementation has failed in several respects. The reality is that we no longer live in a country entrenched in systemic racism. Our laws today guarantee every person of every race, color, sex, or gender equal rights. So today, the systemic barriers that most underrepresented groups face aren't rooted in race or anything else. They're rooted in something much different, in class.
I'd be curious to know if the speaker has thoughts about how to address this on a pretty wide scale.
The better path to help greater numbers of people in these groups is through more robust funding of public school education in all socioeconomically disadvantaged communities.
What resources, what tactics do you see being available under the current administration that could be deployed to impact, to get us to where we can maximize our most valuable resource, our human resources, and close these gaps?
That's the key question, because again, during the DEI era, during the period between 1990, 2010, 2020, we haven't really seen dramatic improvements for working class kids on these tests. I think there are things that help discipline in the schools. I've subbed in inner city schools. It helps. I'm a big guy and I have rules. Teachers that care, that are high IQ themselves, focused. How do you get those things? I don't know. I don't think Mr. Trump knows, but I also don't think Mr. Biden knew.
I think equitable access to education is better for our whole community, including our family, because less education means more poverty, more homelessness, and more crime. And these are all very real issues in my neighborhood. So I honor diversity, equity, and inclusion because that's how I love my neighbors.
From my research, I've noticed that DEI in spirit is very different from DEI as practiced. DEI in spirit, I would absolutely support, because a lot of my friends, a lot of my doctors, a lot of my coworkers are diverse in surface level criteria. They have been for a long time. But DEI in practice, from my experience and from my research, is very, very different from that.
First, I hear the distinction that some folks here are making between the spirit and the practice of DEI, and it reminds me, I'm Christian. That's very much at the core of my life, of who I mean to be, and yet I hear a great deal said and done in the name of Christianity, which I find appalling and counterproductive, and yet I would strongly oppose any attempt to ban Christianity.
Like, we're sitting and we're creating a problem even in the discussion of it, right? Because when we look at, like we're saying, looking at diversity, I'm like, diverse from what, right? When we're looking at, like, what is that standard that we are all, like comparing it to, right? We have not addressed the root aspect of it in its entirety. And until that happens, there's no policy, there's no program, there's no thing that's going to fully address it. Yeah.
I'm going to take raised hands from folks who would like to share what they learned or what they enjoyed this evening.
There's a lot that we agree about, but we love to argue around the margins. And the Brave Angels community is a place where I can come to better understand the views of others.
I also really, really appreciate it when people shared things from a different view that I hadn't really considered. and that was like really meaningful.
This was fantastic. I mean, I loved hearing everyone's perspectives, but I really wanted to understand the other perspective, and I really loved the depth that people brought to it. The idea of let's look at class, or let's look at more true causes of some of the things that are causing challenges for people. So, love the discussion, love the depth. It was fantastic.
What I took away from each of your speeches was that we share more in common in terms of what our ideals are. And even if we disagree about how to implement those ideals, it seems like we have those same shared ideals. And that, for me, was very positive.
Places like this are healing places.